Save the Semantics, episode 105. It is March 14, 2020. My name is Myro. This is the podcast I talk about in my experiences of what it's like to be quarantined. I'm partially joking. We're not quite there yet at the stages of this pandemic called COVID-19, aka coronavirus, aka shitty ass disease that's kind of fucking over basically everyone right now. It's kind of hit where I'm at, unfortunately. There's been like several confirmed cases now. And most likely, it's going to continue to go up. Schools have closed. My university has decided to put its academic courses and all that online. So that's something I'm going to be looking forward to in the upcoming weeks. Honestly, it's been like that. You know, this whole week I didn't go to class. That's crazy how much this has just kind of erupted in over the course of this week. It's crazy. Last week we weren't even I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm like, oh shit, it's just kind of this distant thing, you know. There was like a case or something maybe just in California, you know. But it wasn't anywhere close to where we are. And then in just this week, it's just erupted like wildfire. Like, it's crazy, you know. Like, it's just this. It's not even necessarily like the what is it? It's not necessarily just people getting confirmed. That's really the case. It's just everything has just been impacted. It's crazy. Like I mentioned, schools being closed and all that. You got just people, you know, acting indifferently, you know, obviously, and I'm obviously kind of fit into that boat as well. Like, just the way I've carried myself is, you know, it's different. Like, I'm just much more hyper aware of my place or where I'm at in terms of, like, you know, in a public setting. Maybe I'm like at a restaurant or something like that. You know, I'm much more aware of just my surroundings and stuff. Like, events that are gonna involve more than 50 people have been canceled, you know? I think that's kind of obvious. The NBA has been canceled. That's a pretty big one. Pretty crazy. I think NHL has suspended their season as well. So it's great. It's crazy, you know? Like, I'm talking about it now. It's probably going to be a bit of a later response in comparison to, you know, other outlets, other people. But yeah, I've just kind of had this week to sort of reflect on it, and it's hard not to talk about. It's just, you know, it's just what's on everybody's minds. It's sort of it's the device that's kind of pushing people towards certain behaviors. You know, it's a crazy situation for sure. You know, it's gonna be interesting reflecting back on this. You know. Later. I mean, honestly, for the next few episodes, you'll just expect me to just talk about this because it's just, you know, it's the big thing. It's really the biggest thing right now. So it's hard to kind of avoid talking about it. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. You know, it's sort of interesting because now, in terms of you know, social behavior and that kind of thing, it's gonna be the norm to be like a social recluse now, just because you're not going to interact as many people and that sort of thing. Which sucks, you know. It's unfortunate, but there's really there's other things that you could really be complaining about in this time. Just a shout out to. I don't know, maybe not a shout out, but just, you know, there's a lot of gratitude towards people in the medical field right now. It's just a lot of shit, you know, not even just on top of everything else, you know. There's people that might have some other ailments and that kind of thing, so they must be just kind of overwhelmed at the moment. People, the doctors in like China and the U.S. too, honestly. Yeah, because it's gonna get to that point probably. Not to be such a downer. It's hard not to be, it's just because everyone's mind is just right. Like it's hard to act kind of normal in this situation just because you're just kind of thrown into the fray. Um, but yeah, it's just it's kind of, you gotta still try to stay positive in some regards, however, whatever type of method or activity you do is to keep kind of just lighten or kind of uplift the mood. Just maintain positivity. Have a. Hopefully, you're able to kind of still maintain yourself, keep your composure, and kind of keep going towards what you're going towards, and just stick together. Yeah, that's like a thing that I feel like brings the community of sorts together. Just because like this is just like the one thing. Of course, there's people that are like, you see just the videos of people fighting over toilet paper, which is ridiculous. Like I don't know. It's just, I feel like out of all the things that people are just like hoarding over, toilet papers are not like the number one necessity. Like, I mean, of course, unless you have some like chronic like diarrhea or some shit like that, then yeah, maybe that's like a priority, but it's not, I don't know, it's like people are like stocking up like it's gonna be like we're bunkering down and shit, and it like partially it is true, but it's just kind of it's like that's not like the first necessity that I feel like you should place your money on, right? Food's like the big thing. I think canned foods are gonna be sort of the staple, Depression era time kind of mentality where we're rationing and shit. That's probably the way people are gonna look at this whole situation. Like it's just hard to avoid. That's like, because it's literally in every single news headline right now, in terms of politics, sports, like I mentioned, the NBA and the NHL being suspended. What else? Entertainment, right? A lot of theaters are kind of limiting their access to movies and that sort of thing. It's literally in every single headline, like every single type of headline. So it's just kind of unavoidable, which is unfortunate. And for people like me who don't really like, I've mentioned this numerous times on the podcast, but I try my best to avoid the news. But I think now is sort of the time where you have to kind of keep up to date with everything, at least in your local area. Keep up to date on everything that's going on. It's just sort of the times right now. It's crazy. It's crazy right now. No, but it is crazy. Not to take not to take it lightly by any means. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to get used to kind of, I'm already kind of used to sort of being a social recluse a lot of the time, like, I'm generally fine just kind of hanging out by myself and that sort of thing. It's still gonna suck though. Like I do need some form of like human interaction in some ways, right? So that's most likely gonna be through social media, through just texting and calling and shit, just keeping in touch. But in terms of the physical, it'll be different. It'll be interesting to see what kind of impact this whole thing is going to have on just like people's behaviors, like I'm not going to be the same, like I might be a little over dramatic, but I'm not going to be the same once this is all said and done, it's just kind of like you're going to be sort of different. The way people's behaviors are going to change, and I'm already like a pretty paranoid and kind of paranoid and sort of suspicious person. So like this might not like change me too much, but I'm still gonna be like aware and that kind of thing. And also like I'm also like paranoid just because it's already who I am, but like I'm forgetful too. So like I always have to make sure that I have like my keys and phone and wallet on me. Like it's just who I am. Just because I always forget that shit. Like I've locked myself in my car a few times, which is sad. That was kind of in the past, though. I've gotten a lot better about it. Making sure that I always have that shit on me. But yeah, just in terms of like general behavior, people are gonna act differently in the future just because they're gonna, they're gonna act as though another one's gonna happen because it is like it's just some people might be like persuaded that it's over now, so we're gonna go back to the way things are. But I just don't, it's gonna be hard to forget at least within the next couple years or so. So yeah, I'm just hoping everyone just kind of maintain themselves and just stay safe. Obviously, just don't lose it because like I think a lot of people are sort of on the brink of that. And it's just kind of like no, it's you should be concerned, you should be worried for sure, but don't act too irrationally. Don't act out of this idea, like, especially for people that are like hoarding like toilet paper and trying to like milk that, it's just like, well, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, it's not even really just like, of course, like, you stockpile and shit, but just don't do that. Like, it's just be a little more considerate. Obviously, like, saying that to people is not going to change their minds or anything like that, but just like, of course, act out of necessity, but also act out of reasonable necessity. Like, don't, like, just think ahead a little bit, Like, do you really need, like, 500 rolls of toilet paper? Like, you don't. Like, unless, like I said, unless you have some chronic shit, and, like, you just gotta deal with that. But, like, you don't need that much toilet paper, If you have, like, a big family, then, yeah, maybe it's, like, it's reasonable. But don't act like an asshole and be like, shove your giant ass cart of toilet paper around, just like showing that off. It's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that, right? Just stay calm if you can. Just like find a way to kind of just sort of sit down with yourself or whatever. You're not gonna listen to this. You're not gonna listen to this. You're not gonna be. You're not gonna listen to some kid telling you how to act in this situation. They'll be like, we have kids, and if you don't understand, like, these kids are in danger of getting the sickness, and so we need to prepare, get ahead of ourselves, and make sure that everything is in order, you see? Like, family comes first. Like, I get that, jackass, but don't tell me how to live my life. No. Don't tell me, like, that your life is more important than mine, right? Like, sure, you might be a father, so you have more responsibility of people, or a mother, and you might have more responsibility. You got to take care of the kids and whatnot, but don't act all high and mighty and shit. Like, don't act like you're better because, like, I don't have as many responsibilities. I don't have as many human responsibilities, right? Like, just be a little more considerate, obviously. Like, it's a crazy time, but just don't hoard all the toilet paper. Like, it's not, like, just think about the food and food first. Get your canned tuna, get your beans and rice, man, maybe get, I don't know, extra pot and pans. I don't know why you would do that, but just, get some shit that you'll know you'll need if it does get bad. That's like the first thing you go to. So you think of the food, right? Like, if you have a food shortage, then you're in the most, like, you're in the high risk kind of area, right? Toilet paper, you can't eat toilet paper, Maybe you can find a way. Maybe you can find a way to somehow take the chemicals out of the toilet paper, heat it over some shit, maybe sprinkle some salt and some herbs, whatever, and then you got some, sauteed toilet paper, right? You're not going to eat that shit. You're not. You're just not. There's no way. Try to cook it over a campfire or your stove. Yeah, maybe you could make it work, but no, it's like, you can't eat toilet paper, at least, at least not a healthy amount until you get sick. So, there's that. Anyways, let's try. I'm gonna try my best to move away from that subject for right now. It's hard to, like I said, it's hard to because it's the one thing that's just on everyone's minds. So with that current situation, schools are closed. I do have finals coming up. I really only have one final, which I'm pretty fortunate about. And once I'm done with that, which I will be by submitting it online and that sort of thing. And then spring break, which is not going to be, it's going to be not too much of a break, I guess. I'll find ways to enjoy, my time, as long as it's not raining. Today it's been kind of on and off. I sort of took the chance for when it stopped raining for me to come out here and record. So, hopefully it doesn't start pouring in the next couple minutes or so, but I might have jinxed myself. So, spring break comes around in the next couple of weeks. And then I kind of, for that week, it's going to be interesting, just sort of finding shit to do. So, I'm going to actually try to watch some shows for once, I mean, I've been watching shows, but just not, next week would be the time. Also the time to just kind of do some other shit too, I kind of have things, for the most part, planned out, in terms of post-graduation and that sort of thing. But just find some other hobbies, I guess. I've been trying to get into kind of music production. I've mentioned that before. I don't exactly know what I'm doing. It's a lot of just kind of jumbled shit now, I've never really taken like a music lesson, nothing like that. I tried to learn piano or the keyboard earlier, and I'm sort of like on the edge about wanting to get back into it. The shit is, and this is the most annoying part. Is like I've been I've talked about it before. How I've just kind of been just fucking around on the piano, not really, or the keyboard. Sorry. Not really doing anything, like, not really actually teaching myself new things, Maybe some, like, chords here and there, but nothing too extensive. Maybe just a few melodies, but, so there's a few keys on the keyboard that, like, they just don't really work anymore, which is unfortunate. Like, the sound is, like, in order for one of the keys to actually make a note, like I have to press hard down on it, and it doesn't sound like, it just sounds off pitch, like it's too loud in comparison to all the other keys. So it's like if I want to play something, that when I hit that note, it's like, what the fuck is this shit? Like it just sounds, it doesn't sound good, So that's why I've been kind of reluctant to kind of get back into playing it, unfortunately. But I do want to practice a little bit, just kind of at least be able to play it decently. I can play one part of one song, but that's about it. So hopefully I can add a few more tunes to my library. And also in terms of music production, I'm gonna see if I can start to play or start to learn how to use GarageBand, because I remember I used to mess around on it like in middle school and stuff, back when it was like on the books, not the books, like the computers at school. I remember I used to mess around on that, like during class and that. So I kind of want to get back into that, try to learn some stuff, because I've seen one thing that sort of inspired or motivated me to kind of try it out again was I saw a video of I've seen videos of people like recreating popular song beats on GarageBand. So that's something that's kind of been like, oh, okay, this could be kind of fun just to kind of mess around with it, and all that. So we'll see how that goes. I also talked about messing around on like loop bands. I think I mentioned that. Or Loop Lab, sorry, which is another website for kind of music production, that sort of thing. You take pre-made samples from like this library, and you kind of like add it together with a lot of other, other like loops and samples, and then you kind of can create your own original song. And I've made a few things on there. I say things because I don't really consider them songs or completed instrumentals or anything like that. It's just kind of like, you know, it's some shit. Like, it's not really anything crazy cool or anything like that. But it's been fun just messing around with that. And I'm still sort of trying to figure out like what kind of sound I'm going for. Like, I'm trying out different things. So I made like sort of a 2000s underground like hip hop type beat, just with these loops. And then I've also made a bit more of like a piano chord, hip hop beat. So that's been cool. And maybe I want to try out some lo-fi shit. I'm just saying this. These are all just things that I may want to do, but I don't know if I'll actually follow through with it. I should though. I really should. Like, it's really not going to just be next week where I'm just going to be stuck here and shit. Like, it's going to be it's going to be for a little while, and I kind of have to anticipate that. So outside of schoolwork, it's like, what are some things I can kind of enjoy without having to go out and shit, like like it's just, it sucks. It sucks. But, you make use of what you have. And I'm happy that, like, I just have these kinds of things at my disposal, so I'm grateful for that. I've been watching Attack on Titan. Been continuing on. I forgot where I was when I last talked about it, but right now I just got through the first half of season 3, and I think it's been really damn good. It's really damn good, I think, if they can pull it off, I've said this, but I feel like this is going to be one of those animes that's just going to be up there. I feel like it is already up there, like as one of the, best, maybe greatest, one of the big ones. Just because, like, the story is engaging. The characters are all, like, especially after, like, after that first half, like, oh man. Just the character development has just been so good, especially for, like, a few characters, and it's just, like, all the story beats have just been lining up perfectly. It's been really good. And I'm kind of going through the second half of the third season right now. And it's, it's the pace is definitely sort of picked up for sure. I mean, the thing is, like, there's really not a whole lot of slow points during the season, and even if there are the couple of episodes that are talking about, it's sort of essentially like a flashback, and you're kind of learning more about certain characters and certain, like, plot lines and that sort of thing. Like, but it just fits so well because, like, you have, like, a very actiony episode, prior, and then you kind of move to the slower one where, they're talking about just, like I said, they talk about certain characters and that kind of thing. Like, it's just, everything just works so well. A lot of the side characters have gotten this spotlight on them. I'm like, oh, I didn't, at first you're like, I don't care about this character very much, but it's really, helped kind of develop them and just kind of richen the story to a sense. I just think it's really well done. It's hard to come by these types of shows and programs where, like, they explore a lot of these things. They're nothing unique. Grief, loss, and sort of resolve, and all those sort of things. It's nothing new. Obviously, that sort of thing is very common in, like, shonen anime. But it's just, when you see it well done, you're like, you appreciate it. Also, the art and the animation is so damn good. It's crazy. Like, I can't imagine the amount of work that goes into animating just, like, the crazy sequences, just the amount of frames and the amount of just time and the coordination too. Like, you have to think about, like, what would look best. What would be, like, a cool animation that we could use to make this look cool and interesting, right? Like, the way, like, the scouts or whatever, when they attack those titans, just, like, the way they, like, spin and shit like that. It's so good. It's so good. I can't imagine the amount of work it takes to it goes into those sequences and just everything, just the design of the characters. Ah, yeah, it's great. It's good stuff. So outside of that, I'm gonna try to watch some other stuff, maybe some other animes. Maybe I'll watch some Netflix. Maybe I'll get back into The Witcher again, and some other stuff. We'll see. Been playing some Smash. I've just kind of taken a break from Fire Emblem a little bit. I just feel like the story has sort of come a little. It's slowed down a little bit. I feel like but then again, I haven't played it for a long time, so I think if I get back into it, I'll be like, okay, all right, this is where I was at. This was my objective. This is where the story is. So I think once I get back into, I fucked up my recording there. I was trying to press the home button, but then I like held it down for too long, and so the Siri function came up, and that kind of fucked me over. Yeah, as I was saying, just some things to kind of that I'm looking forward to. Maybe I'm trying to get back into reading too, so that's something. Again, maybe I'll put some time into, but we will see. That's gonna do it for this episode. You have been listening to Save the Semantics. Signing off.